Now, competition is something that clearly a lot of people don't understand, right? And I know I've been on my tangent the past week um, about you know how educating yourself is important, especially in things that you are investing in. All right, the more you educate yourself, right, in the field that you're in, the more successful uh, you're going to be. Now, before I get into the different uh, competitors and the different levels of competition when it comes into business, since I'm talking about education, this is something that I can tell you 100% that most of the people that come into this industry are lacking, right? I tell you all the time, I prove it to you all the time, from the consumers to the creators. It's a lack of education. Listen, if you want to compete on a high level and you want to be able to get ahead of the competition, focus a lot more time on educating yourself in this industry. Because majority of the people, more than 50%, more than 75% of the people that get into this business refuse to educate themselves on something that they invested in, right? It's boring, it's too time consuming. I've heard things like it doesn't matter, it doesn't have anything to do with what's going on now. And these are the people that say things like people are taking cheap freight, right? If you educate yourself, you'll understand that what you're complaining about, what you're potentially going to complain about, you'll understand that it exists, and complaining about it, you'll have a plan to come in, right? Because now you know what the landscape of the competition looks like. So instead of complaining about it or getting into it with a lack of understanding that this is what exists, you'll know how to come in and not have to deal with that. So when people say things that like, oh, well, none of that matters because it don't have to do, this is an excuse for an individual or group of individuals who aren't educated. So they denounce the smart things because they can't comprehend it, they don't understand it, or they refuse to go out and do what's in their best interest, which is educate themselves. So they just say things like people keep taking cheap freight, and then when you ask them the definition of it, they can't tell you that. When you ask them what they cost per mile is, they can't tell you that. What you ask them what it costs for them to operate their business, they can't tell you that. All right, so let's get into it. That was my monologue. Let's talk about competition. And I'm going to make this brief, and I'll probably take a few questions at the end. There's 4 different types of competitors when you get into business. You got direct competitors, you got indirect competitors, you got potential competitors, and you got replacement competitors, right? So it's direct competitors, indirect competitors, replacement competitors, right? And potential competitors. Now, let's talk about direct competitors. Let's start with direct competitors first, and I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to use me as an example. All right. So a direct competitor is someone that's competing, whether in your industry, whether you're in a goods industry or service industry, they're a direct competitor. You guys are providing the same service, right? In this instance, as far as box truck business, you're providing the same service. So you are a direct competitor. For instance, if you are an OTR box truck owner operator, the loads that you are competing for on the load board, the other people that are looking for those same loads that are in the box truck space, these are direct competitors, right? Ultimately, the person who is going to win that load is probably right, because we understand there are people who don't understand their cost per mile. We understand that there's people who don't understand their operational costs, and they just see dollar amounts and they accept it. But on the grand scheme of things, if things were ran, on the up and up, right? People really understood their business. The person who could afford to bid lower or take something at a cheaper cost, even though they're profitable from it, is ultimately the person who's going to win. Obviously, a person whose cost per mile, right, is higher, right, may not be able to take something at a lower cost, but someone who has a lower cost per mile may be able to take it at a lower cost, and ultimately that person is going to win. right? So that's a direct competition. Someone who's competing directly. You guys provide the same service in the same field. You are competing with each other directly. Now, indirect competition is something like this, and I'm keeping the example pertaining to this industry. Indirect is somebody that aren't necessarily competing directly, but they provide the same service. So, for instance, a box truck owner operator taking a person who's in the cargo van business's opportunity, or let's say a cargo van business stepping on a box truck owner operator and taking freight that maybe is a pallet or two pallets that may be offered to a box truck owner operator, let's say, but they can take it for cheaper because they can fit it. They have the capacity to fit a pallet or two, and they could take it for cheaper, right? So they aren't competing directly, but there may be opportunities that arise where they can step on each other and take those opportunities. So things where they don't compete directly, but they are in the same industry per se. Next is you got replacement competitors, right? A replacement competitor is someone who is in the same industry, but they can offer more services or provide more opportunities, let's say, to a consumer. For instance, let's say if you're in a 3PL and I'm in the 3PL and you are a single owner operator, the most that you could provide for that 3PL is you and your one truck. All right. I can come in and say, listen, not only can I provide more than one truck, I also can recover when those guys that are single owner operators, their truck breaks down, they have good intentions to come to work that morning, but when they get to their truck, when they get in the truck that morning, it doesn't start. All right. We're not just going to put it like and give an example of they're just not doing what's in their best interest. Things happen, or they could be on their way to the 3PL to get their load and the truck could break down, or they could get into an accident. All right. So I can provide you more than one truck. I can make sure that when my trucks have issues, I have other trucks on standby, or I'll have my other drivers break particular load down and distribute it amongst the other trucks that I have in here. And I also can offer you recovery. So like I said, when the guys who only have one truck have incidents that arise, you can depend on me and I can recover those loads for you. And we can discuss the cost when that time arises. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and we'll discuss on a per case basis what it's going to cost for me to recover and help you out when these guys with one truck that don't have the resources to get another truck on a drop of a dime, when that freight is left on the dock, we can recover that. All right. So basically what I'm coming in to do is take opportunities from other people. Because in situations like that I've come across in the past is, you know what, back in the day, not so much now, and we know reason why now, and this is not with every 3PL, this is some 3PLs don't want one particular person or company controlling a large percentage of their dock, right? Because it gives that particular master contractor, right, not an independent contractor, master contractor, too much leverage, and they don't want to give an individual that much leverage because they want to be able to manipulate, right, and take most of the money from the small guys. The small guys are always the guys that have it the toughest. And I realized this early, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to continue to scale and get more trucks, because I was able to come in and leverage myself. I never ran on a per stop basis. I've always ran on a guarantee. I need to know exactly what I'm going to make. Some days we're going to come out on the larger end. Some days are going to be tougher. We may come out on shorter end. Some days it's just going to be moderate, right? But I know how much I got to pay my driver. I know what my operational cost is, and I'm more comfortable regardless of what the economic climate is, seasonality changes, that, you know what, if it's less freight on the dock, I'm still getting this guarantee because I still have to pay this driver X amount of money. My insurance is going to be the same. Might not spend that much in fuel because the route is going to be smaller because there's not much freight on the dock. But I need to make a guaranteed certain amount of money because this business still needs to sustain. Right? So that's that competitor. And then you have your future competitor, which is a what you would consider a potential competitor. All right, and this is why forecasting uh 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 within your business is very, very important. Right, we've seen a lot of people in the past not forecast, which is why a lot of the things that have occurred over the past August of 2024, so let's say a little over a year and a half has happened, right? We can talk about a bubble. A lot of people not understanding the 5 stages of a bubble, right? And what happened, they didn't see happen because they didn't understand the economic climate, nor did they, take the time to educate themselves on it. They were in a euphoric phase, which is stage 3 of a bubble. And they thought that things that were going on current at that particular time were going to last forever. Market corrected itself and, things happen. All right. This is why you got to forecast. We talk about it on this channel. All right. What's the potential competitor? We know within the next 5 years, you're going to see an infusion of south of the border people come into this industry with a mind frame and a mindset of delayed gratification because their life has been delayed. Delayed gratification is a lifestyle for them. So they're not going to come in like the individual who came in 2021 that's still holding on by the hair of his chinny chin chin because he bought a truck at an inflated value, right? Who's robbing Peter to pay Paul, who 9 times out of 10 is robbing from the sustainability of their business. That person is going to come in already with a low operational cost. They're not going to come in and buy the new trucks. They're not going to come in. Their lifestyle is already delayed. You got multiple families living in a household. They don't have to rob from the sustainability of their business because they're not going out partying, doing all the things that we talked about last week on some of the live streams. So a lot of that money is going to get reinvested back into their business. And they're going to continue to grow, right? And because they speak the language and they are a part of a community, they can reach out. So the problems that you may have, and we're going to get into that in the levels of competition, the problems where you may have sourcing talent, they're not going to have. So that's like one of the strengths and weaknesses, right? So what may be a weakness to you is a strength to them. All right. So, all right, let's get into analyzing competitor. And I want you guys to pay attention to the landscape of the room. See, the reason why lately I've been just focusing on educational stuff is for a reason. Just pay attention to the room. And then when you hear the complaints about the cheap freight and all that, it goes back to education. Whenever I do a live stream that's real deep education based, when I don't utilize the characters, when we don't talk about man, we don't talk about phone them, it's just straight education, news that you can use, information that you can take and implement to your business so that you don't go around saying things like, I almost said the S word, but Great Polo said his daughter be watching, so we're gonna make sure we don't say the curses. All right, you can take this information and implement this in your business. That's crazy that an 8-year-old watches Mark the Mentor and can articulate everything that I say. But people that are in this business, a person who is 8-9 years removed from a driver's license, about 15 years removed from potentially even starting this type of business, can sit and watch an educational channel about trucking, be interested in it, but individuals who are already actively in the business would prefer to watch things that aren't in their best interest, say insane things. You could come watch the call-in show. You can come watch the call-in show and laugh and crack jokes on somebody else that's really in the same boat as you. But when I come up here and I give you all this information that my OG had to pay for me to learn, that's going to be in your best interest, you don't watch it. So this is why I'm going to keep doing it, because I don't care about the views. So when you come up here and you say, oh, I watch all your stuff, and you don't know your operation cost and your cost per mile, I'm going to say, did you see the episode that I did on competition? No, I didn't watch that one. You know why you didn't watch it? Because it was too boring. This is why you where you at, and this is why the people who do consume the information is where they at. See, pay attention to the numbers, guys. If I come up here and I put a number 6 on a neck, oh, it's not only is it people in here, the engagement is up, and the room stays filled. All people in the space. Ain't that about a, I wanted to say that word, ain't that about a something? That's about a something, ain't it? Now, Great Polo, I can't continue to, some of these episodes, I'm going to have to let it go, all right? So today we're going to be mindful. It's the morning time. All right, let's talk about the 4 stages of analyzing competition, right? All right, so 1, you have to analyze the strategy of your competition, right? You got to analyze the strategy. All right, I'm going to use myself, all right, as the case study. All right, you have to take this information and then implement it into your business as you see fit, whether you're OTR, curbside, big and bulky, moving, whatever, junk removal, whatever it is that you do. Analyzing your competitive strategy. I've talked about my strategy. So if I came into a 3PL, after a few days, you can see what the strategy is. Man, dude is in here. He's bringing in trucks. He's coming in here focusing on volume. He's focusing on volume. He's trying to get as many loads, as many routes as possible. Right? The strategy. I understand that more trucks, lower the cost, leverage, more money in totality for the company. More money in totality for the company. I'm going to make less money per truck, but I'm going to make more money in totality. All right. When I was running, there was times where the crew, the labor for the particular truck made more money, even from an individual point. The driver made more money than that truck actually netted. But that's okay when you have a fleet of trucks. See, a lot of people don't understand that. When I listen to a lot of people and they come up, or I talk to people behind the scenes or in the Discord, when they break their numbers down, they think that they're supposed to make more money than the labor, and that's not necessarily true. Having that mind frame is going to keep your truck parked. And this is why a lot of people don't make it. No matter how many times I say the margins are small, you don't understand it. Who says you're supposed to take a majority of the pie? Once you factor in operational costs and labor, you want to make $300-$400, but you only want to give your driver $100-$150. Guess what? You're not going to keep a driver. If I got to pay a driver $200-$250 and the only thing I'm walking away with is $100, okay, I'm fine with that. Why? Because that driver is happy, right? Because I'm paying them something that is going to motivate them to get up and come to work in the morning versus sitting on the bed trying to decide, should I go in to work? This ain't nothing. I can go make more than this doing Amazon Flex or something. I can run for this same company in my car and do e-commerce packages and make more than $100. You don't even understand the level of competition within your own company with the companies you run to. Listen, you might not even understand or even know what a non-compete is. So you may be having a truck and a driver running through a 3PL, right? And they may be doing something they're not supposed to, which is soliciting your driver. But because you ain't educated yourself, you don't even know what solicitation of your driver is. You don't even have a contract with your own employees about non-compete. So they in there, going in there, driving your truck in there every day. And then they see all these other guys, and they talking to these other guys that are driving their own trucks in there, their own cargo vans in there. And then they're telling your driver what they're making. Then you see other people pulling in their cars, stuffing little bitty packages into their trunk and into their back seat. And then you start talking to them. And then they tell you, yeah, I make $250 a day in their car. So you in direct competition even with the 3PL that you sending your person to. Why would they come work for you for $100 when they can just literally drive their car in there, get their own contract, don't have to worry about commercial insurance and none of that, and do small parcel packages and make 2.5 times more? And then you wonder why you can't find no drivers. Because you think you're supposed to make more money than your driver, and that's not always the case. Because you didn't do what was in your best interest, was educate yourself on this business. Margins are small. You're going to have to make your money in volume. Me personally, I'm okay with the 100. Why? Because now I don't have to worry. I'd rather make $500 a week on that truck, $2,000 a month, than have, times, intermittent times where the truck ain't running because I just lost the driver because I'm too cheap and I'm thinking I'm supposed to make more than the driver. I understand consistency. I understand retention. So you got to analyze your competition, not only your direct competition, which is the people that you're competing with that are in the same industry as far as the other contractors in the space, but the actual 3PL may be your competition too, indirectly. See, you didn't think about that. Why? That's why you're here. Mark gonna give you all the news you can use, baby. This is where experience comes in at. Yeah, the 3PL can be indirect competition. They don't even have to go out and solicit the driver. They don't have to say a word to him. Just you sending him there every day. Him talking to other people. Things are going to start going through. Why am I coming here working for Buddy for $100, $125, $150 when there's other people driving their car in here and they telling me they're making $250? I'm putting all this heavy pallets and paper and going up and down, and I just seen somebody roll up in their 2012 Ford Fiesta and stuff a bunch of small packages in their trunk, a bunch in their back seat, and they saying they making $250 guaranteed. Hell, I'm finna put my 2 weeks in. Indirect competition. All right. What's the objective of your competition? All right. So if I were in there and we were doing the same thing, you already know what my objective is. If you know how to read the room, my objective is to come in there and lean on some stuff. You already see what my strategy is, right? You seen when Buddy came and his truck broke down and they asked me to recover it, and you seen one of my trucks recovering it every day. And then when you seen Buddy come back, you heard him in there arguing with the dispatcher a week and a half later after me covering this great route that he's had probably for the past 3 or 4 years. And now they done stuck him way out in the boondocks. And he complaining, how y'all gonna give him my route? That's what my objective was to begin with. To come in, get as many loads, get as many routes as possible. And once we get in there, start to get the routes that best suit my interest. I want the routes with I need the dense routes. I want the routes in the smallest circumference with the minimal stops. Why? Because I'm on a guarantee anyway. Listen, I want my trucks to operate less and get paid high. It's going to benefit me. It's going to also benefit my drivers. You know why? Because they're going to walk around the joint and say, man, this is sweet, man. I come in, I pick up the load, man, I'm back at the crib by 12. And I'm getting a flat rate. Mark paying me a flat rate, baby. So now I got a happy driver. I got a happy truck. My objective is to come in there and win. I want something dense that pays the most. I don't want my equipment going way yonder. Then I got to hear my drivers complain about being stuck in rush hour traffic, trying to get back into the city once their route is over with. I have to spend more money on fuels. I'm getting a guarantee anyway. So if I'm getting a guarantee, I want to get the most bang for my buck. So it would be in your best interest to understand that and to make sure you show up to work. Make sure you got your truck PM'd properly. If you hear that little clicking, hey man, go get that checked out. Because if you got to put that truck in the shop, it's a possibility that master contractor is going to have to recover. And if it's a great route, they're going to be lobbying for it. This is how you stay ahead. This is how you don't get your work taken away from you. As a guy that I don't see him much often, but he had a route for R&L carriers. Watching my content, he came off the road. He got a route with R&L carriers, local, $1,000 a day. Local, home every night, $1,000 a day. He ran in a few weeks, his truck broke down. A week later, guess what? Did they give him that route back? They told him he had to reapply again. It's the name of the game. All right? Strengths and weaknesses. This falls right into strengths and weaknesses. If I was on the new and I was coming in, I would be looking for the operators and what their strengths are, and then I would try to emulate those strengths. I would take other operators' strengths as a learning tool. As you become more knowledgeable, then you know how to prey on people's weaknesses. It's business. It's competitive. There's no feelings involved. Listen, I feel you. Your truck broke down. But guess what? This route is on the south side of Chicago, and my warehouse is on the south side of Chicago. So that means once my truck comes from Elk Grove, or let's say Wooddale out there on Thorndale Road, and picks up the freight, it comes back to the south side. It's operating in a small, dense area. Why? Because we're dropping off supplies to all the public schools and the high schools. And then once it's done, the last school may literally be around the corner from the yard. Now I got a happy driver who doesn't have to sit in traffic at 4 or 5 in the evening coming from Gurnee back to the south side of Chicago for 2 hours. He's literally done. Now his day, he's shaving off 2-3 hours of his day. His route is dense. He's happy. He's still getting his guarantee. I'm looking for weaknesses in other people, especially if they have something that my company needs or wants. Strengths. How is this guy able to retain his drivers? Paying them handsomely. You know why? Because I know I don't make no money if the truck sits. I'm making my money in volume. I don't want my drivers sitting on the edge of the bed when they get up every morning trying to determine if they should come to work. I want them motivated to come to work. Why? Because that works in my best interest. Listen, all this information when you deep dive into it, if you are really interested in building your business and you start educating yourself, this information is going to be intriguing to you. You're going to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy educating yourself on something that you have invested your money into, then you really shouldn't be in business. This information intrigues me. I love this information. I get off on it. Even though I know it, I'm presenting it to you, just presenting it to you right now, it makes me excited. I have that nostalgia. I started having that nostalgic feeling. Take me back to when I was 33, 34. Buying trucks, pushing through companies. I remember, I think I told this story before, Rosalind Lewis. Only black supervisor at one of the 3PLs that I had a bunch of trucks in. She called me off the record one day. She said, I want to talk to you. I said, what's up, Rosalind? She said, just be aware that, none of the other managers in here like you. I said, I kind of sense that, but I'm saying, well, why though? Well, my trucks are performing and we always helping y'all recover. Man, well, you got a guarantee, Mark. And you don't show no flex. You young and you black. And they can't figure out how you got so much money and how many and so many trucks. They don't like that. And most importantly, you carry yourself because you know it. You cocky about it. The moment they can replace those trucks, they're going to do it. But right now they can't. They need you. So I'm letting you know this off the record. I'm telling you, listen. Competition is serious. You have to fully understand competition, directly and indirectly. At that moment, I began to compete with the company that was providing me the opportunity. They were competing to replace me because of the position that I put myself in by understanding the landscape of the industry. So when people say, oh, well, I'm not making that much money, well, scale. If you would have done what I tell people to do, which is a business plan, the competitive analysis would be in that. So you would understand from a competition standpoint what you was getting into and how to compete. You would understand that when you were told you could make X amount of money in a box truck, it wasn't going to come from one truck. You would know that you would have to build a fleet and then diversify that fleet. I told you don't put all your eggs in one basket, even though other people told you you should focus on one thing. But what happens when that one thing goes away? It doesn't last forever. You are a box truck owner operator. You don't have a direct connect with the retailer. Why would they want to talk to you? Why do y'all be like, when I see people saying, oh, well, yeah, I went into Walmart and I talked to the store manager, I just be looking like, bro, like they don't even have say so on the trucks that come and go. Well, like, you think you're going to walk into Walmart or Target? Like when people be saying that, I be like, what are you? You think you're gonna walk into Walmart, Target, speak to a manager and say, "Hey, I got a box truck. Do y'all need any help?" Well, they can't help you, fam. Why would they want to deal with you when they got stores all across the country? They deal with the big dogs. Then the big dogs may contract you. You can't meet the demands of that business. You have one truck. Why would they rely on you? And it's not to make your one truck seem down, but you have to think of it from a business perspective. If you're Walmart, would you rather deal with Schneider and JB Hunt, or would you rather deal with the one guy with one truck? What is that guy going to do for you? Nah, I don't want to cut all these different checks to all these different individuals who don't have cash flow. Nah, let me deal with the big boys and let them deal with that. Why? Because when they got cash flow, I don't have to pay them every week. I don't have to hear them complaining. They got their own fleet of trucks. They got thousands of independent contractors, and they got a bag. They have their own distribution network. They got their own hubs. They got their own mechanics. They have their own resources. They're self-insured. Why would I deal with you? Strengths and weaknesses. Understand, listen. This person knows what they're doing. I want to emulate that. That's a strength. What's crazy to me is when people denounce, and this, for the life of me, I just really don't understand this. Is this just in this industry? Is it a black thing, or what's the thing about being smart that people just don't want to do? Why don't people want to be smart? You say smart shit and you put smart information out there. It gets approached with like negativity. That's why people are in the positions and the boats that they in. This is why they do shit like, do stuff like go into Target and Walmart and actually speak to the store manager and tell them they got a box truck outside. Is there any opportunities? Like, that's a waste of time. That means that's an individual that knows absolutely nothing about this business. Don't come up on my channel and tell me you walked into a store. Listen, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna hold you accountable. Your biggest strength is is educating yourself. Educating yourself and not stopping. This is 100%, and I'm telling you, that's the secret. In this space, the more you know about this business, the better off you're gonna be, because it's gonna prevent you from doing all the bad things that you've been doing. Your competition not doing this. Listen, 90% of the people in this business, this box truck business, ain't got it. Which side you gonna follow? You gonna follow on the 90%? You gonna follow on the 10% that do? 90% of the people ain't educating themselves. %90. And what they do consume that they thinking is smart is really fluff or hype to get you to buy into something. It's just reaction. All right, this is the last level for competition. So we covered analyzing, we covered objective, we covered strengths and weaknesses. And I went on a tangent for strengths and weaknesses. All right, and now reaction patterns. Let me tell you how to read reaction patterns. I love using the pandemic. Oh man, listen. I'm going to use the pandemic for years to come as long as I'm creating content, because this is the best. Listen, some of the scenarios that were created during the pandemic are the best case studies. Listen, when you seen people during the pandemic following a trend and then going out and doing all the stupid things, and if you're smart, you should know what goes up must come down. And when it comes down, it's going to come down hard. As fast as it went up, it's going to come crashing down. So when you see people going out buying inflated trucks, not only going out buying all this other stuff, the lifestyle that accompanied it, right? Because they went out and increased their lifestyle. They were making an abundance of money, but they also increased their lifestyle. The more money you make, the more money people spend, right? Smart individual knows what goes up must come down. They would have understood it was a bubble. They would have understood the amount of money that was given out, which is why volume was up. They would have understood the influx of people coming into the market, whether they were, being influenced to come in due to influence or just to meet the needs of the industry, because volume was up. So there needed to be more entrants to come in to move that capacity, because volume was up. It paid an exorbitant amount of money. Anybody that is into other markets of investment would have understood that. But guess what? We don't do what's in our best interest as far as saving, budgeting, and investing, right? So we didn't understand the market analysis when it came to the box truck business or the trucking business at that particular time. Even though I was telling you that, you didn't want to hear it because you were in stage 3 of a bubble, which is euphoria. The smart individual would have understood that that was at the top, like I did, would have exited out, selling off their assets at an exorbitant amount of money, because one, that situation never happens, and it'll probably never happen again in this lifetime. The individual who would have just been entering into the market, let's say, that would have known that, or their research would have brought this information across their desk because they were researching it, right? Would have said, you know what? Based on my studies, this makes sense. Listen, this ain't going to last forever. So all this excess money that I'm making now, I may not be making the same amount of money in 6 months or a year and 2 years. The market is going to correct itself. So maybe I should be saving a lot of this excess money, because there may be a storm. It looks like a storm is going to brew ahead. From what I understand, inflation is going to come. It's going to be a downturn in the market. So let me stockpile some of this excess money. If I'm getting $1 gazillion a mile now, I need to save. Maybe I shouldn't go out and get the Hellcat, even though I want to. And my friends went out and bought theirs, and they meeting up at all the car meets, and they doing donuts. But man, I did buy a truck that I'm realizing now it's really overvalued. So let me work really, really hard, take this excess money and stockpile it, because I may have to rely on this money next year. And maybe let me pay off this truck sooner than later. God willing, I can, if I didn't go out and finance it through an equipment leasing place, because they're not going to let me pay it off. And even if I do pay it off early, they're still going to charge me whatever it is that they want to make off the deal, because there's a prepayment penalty. Because I didn't do my research, or I didn't read the contract, or I read and didn't understand what I read, because I didn't educate myself. So what's the reaction? People going to fail. There's going to be less competition. I don't want to be the person who reacts in a negative way. complaining on the internet about other people taking cheap freight. I want to lower my costs so that I can compete. I don't want to be the person now that's in the industry that's complaining now. Then in 4 or 5 years, they saying they taking cheap freight now. So then here's going to be the excuse in 4 to 5 years. All these migrants that came in 3, 4 years ago, and they coming in and they running loads for the low. So it's gonna transition from complaining about cheap freight to the migrants taking this shit. So if you already know what's going to come because you're doing what's in your best interest, which is forecasting and understand the reaction patterns of the competition, because here's the thing, they're already infiltrating transportation. It's only a matter of time. Delayed gratification is not new to them. Their lifestyle is delayed. It's coming. So what are you going to do to put yourself in a position so that you don't be out here complaining? Man, make double payments on your truck. Get your truck paid off so you can lower your costs. You still got some time. There's a guy on the Discord the other day, 2 speeding tickets this year in an accident. $5,000 a month, quote, for insurance. Stop doing what's not in your best interest. Pay attention to what you're doing when you're driving your personal, because it's going to affect your insurance on your business side. Why are you speeding and getting into accidents? Two speeding tickets in an accident. Responsibility. Somebody else in the Discord, I ain't going to say no names. 4 kids with a baby on the way. 5 kids, 1 box truck. Wife ain't working. Personal responsibility. Why? You got to understand what it costs to live. If your living costs are growing, listen, your box truck has a range. So what happens when people start robbing from the business, sustainability business, is to cover lifestyle choices. You want to speed and get into accidents on the personal side, it's going to affect your business because your insurance is going to be $5,000 a month. You want to grow your family? Listen, do what you want, but guess what? That's more expenses on the lifestyle, but your box truck business, on 1 truck is only going to get you so much. So then you're going to find yourself robbing from the business to cover your living. Like I said last week, all this leads down. Listen, when people rob from the sustainability business or they complain that where's the money at? Once you do a deep dive analysis, y'all see it over and over and over again on the call-in show. It always leads down one path. Personal life choices. A lot of those choices, yeah, some of these people aren't running their business the right way. But as far as the sustainability, as far as the where the money is going, when you see people that are running, they are profitable, they rob from the sustainability business, and the business doesn't have cash flow because they have an exorbitant cost of living on the personal side. So you got a guy like me, let's say, who's a competition. You can say what you want, but I understand this, and I understood it then, and I showed you guys my journey. This is how I could scale aggressively. Because I told you guys plenty of times, listen, if I do this, if I do that, it's going to prevent me from getting to where I want to from a business. So I have to delay that, put that off to the side, sacrifice that because I want to get to this point. So I can come in with a multitude of trucks in a 3PL because the personal lifestyle choices that the next individual who would be the competition made, and my personal lifestyle choices are different. I'm sacrificing on the personal side so that I can grow the business. This is how I can push my way around in a 3PL because I got a multitude of trucks and I'm a master contractor. you can't get mad at the next individual because they understand that. They understand cost. They understand delayed gratification. They understand that lower cost, more money. This person don't have a wife and kids at home. So guess what? He doesn't have to pay himself X amount of dollars. He can pay himself less, reinvest more into the business to grow the business. Wife, kids result paying yourself more. And then in a lot of cases, right, your business can't pay you enough to sustain that cost of living. And this is where a lot of people make the mistake at. No one tells them this. I'm the only person that does this. People don't understand that when you leave a job or you start a business, you have to make sure that that business can sustain on itself and pay whatever your lifestyle cost of living is at that particular time, if you're not willing to delay it. I know they told you could make X exorbitant amount of money with one box truck, but that's not true. Did they account for inflation? Did they tell you that? Because I remember telling you that inflation is scaling way faster than wages. The cost of inflation is scaling at a higher pace than wages. I'm telling you the rates are normal. They have corrected themselves. It's just the operational costs have gone up. So these are people that's competing against you. You can't get mad at that person because of the choices that they made, because they understand competition. All this plays a part in how you compete, especially you guys that are running OTR. Lifestyle, personal lifestyle, and business decisions play a part. Because if you make poor lifestyle choices, it's going to result in you robbing from your business. It happens every time. We see it all the time. So when I hear people with this cheap freight, listen, that's an excuse. This person bought an O2. It's a guy that we talk to every day in the Discord. He got an O1 International. That O1 International has acquired 4 other trucks. Why? Because he bought an O1. And guess what? Hasn't had any issues with it. No major issues. Or let's say the person who went out and bought a 08, who's 30, who still lives at home. So he bought an older truck, cash, paid for because he worked really, really hard doing Grubhub and Uber and Amazon Flex or whatever he did to get up to capital, bought the truck cash. Let's say it's a 2009 or a 2008 or 2007, whatever. Still lives at home, has a low cost of living, is over the road, stays over the road. When he comes home, he lives at home, still has the Michael Jordan poster on his wall. Or let's say if he's 30, he has the Kobe Bryant poster still on his wall. Doesn't have rent, doesn't have mortgage, doesn't have utilities. All he has is a cell phone bill from a personal level that he has to pay consistently. The other costs are business costs. So his cost of living is minimal. His operational costs are minimal because he understood that coming into the business. He makes sure he's in the right positions, running over the road. He's not thirsty to come home because he's single. He's not in a relationship. So because his costs are a lot lower, this is a guy who is being targeted on the internet for taking cheap. But the freight that he's taking it at a profit because he don't got 3 kids, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just giving you an example. He don't got 3, 4 kids or 2 kids at the crib, a wife at the crib, a car note at the crib, a Hellcat that you an OTR, like you paying $1,800 on a $93,000 car that you'll never get to drive. The wife ain't working because y'all thought that because Buddy told you was going to run it up with the box truck, that this one truck could take care of a family. You got the rent or the mortgage, the utilities, the food costs. Woo. So now, and you went out and you bought a $80,000 truck that was really only $30,000. You bought it from an equipment leasing place. You sat down on the website at Progressive. You didn't know no better. You paying $2,300 a month. Or you renting a truck because you ain't got to pay the maintenance. So that's cost you over $1,000 a week. And depending on how many miles you drive, it can fluctuate. But what you can't take, this other person can at a profit. Because guess what? All that stuff that I just named, that person ain't got it. Well, Mark, that's messing up the industry for the other guys. And Great Pole, I really want to say, you know how I feel about them kids. You know how I feel about them kids. And I want to say it, but I'm not going to say it because it's an 8-year-old daughter watching. I don't think Elton Frederick is understanding what I'm saying. I don't think Elton Frederick is because this is what happens when people don't, and maybe I'm reading it wrong. If a person knows their cost and they see a load and it's profitable for them, may not be profitable for the guy who got the 3 kids, the Hellcat, right? And this ain't a scenario I'm making up. This is facts. All the costs that are associated from their personal perspective and high cost for their business, you can't get mad at that other person. Listen, I could care less. Man, I don't care about your, listen, I don't care about your person. Those are life, listen, life is about choices and decisions. The moment you start a business, there's a bunch of choices and decisions that you have to make. If you know you're going to start a business later on down the line, then you need to start preparing yourself for that. You can't get mad at the other person because they made better life choices. See, and this is what people not telling you. Life is about choices and decisions. You have to own up for the choices and decisions you made. If you went out and you did things that wasn't in your best interest and you started business because of these decisions that you made from a business perspective and from a personal perspective that's increasing your cost, that's your problem. I'm not finna sit around and wait for you, fam. If my costs are low and I'm profitable on something that you can't take, that's your problem. I don't care about camaraderie, bro. This is business. This is a free enterprise. I don't care what nobody tell you. And this is competition. See, this is what they not telling you. You gonna say cheap freight. That shit don't even exist. How can you tell the next person what to take because they put themselves in a better position than you? Don't get mad at me or the next person. Take your L. Make better life choices. Make better business choices. Understand the landscape of business, competition, free enterprise. Ain't nobody finna wait around for you. Also, I'm supposed to sit on my hands because it benefits you. So the next person that's a wolf can come take because they got the same mindset as me and understanding cost and sacrifice and delayed gratification. I'm supposed to help you out. Listen, if I get a blowout in the middle of the night, can I call you and help give me a tow? If the weather get really, really low and I need a jump start, can I call you in the middle? I don't know you. It's the same situation. So why would I let opportunity pass that are profitable in the competitive landscape because there's a multitude of people who came into this industry that didn't know what they was doing, that followed the trend, that got misinformed, who have exorbitant costs from a business perspective, have exorbitant costs from a personal perspective. That's your problem. This is why you out there scratching your head right now. So when I say educate yourself, man, dude, I don't want to hear all that. That shit ain't got nothing to do right now. Okay, prove it. Because I keep proving you wrong. I'm still waiting for somebody to prove it. Prove it. Prove to me how doing what's not in your best interest is somebody else's fault that did. Prove to me that the shit that you was sold and the choices that you made, you still are supposed to reap the benefits, the same benefits as the person who sacrificed delayed gratification that understood what they was investing in. The reason why Kobe was Kobe is because he was in the gym more than everybody else. The reason why LeBron is LeBron because he in the gym more than everybody else. He invests a lot of money into his body so he can still perform at a competitive level at this age. The reason why LeBron is LeBron and James Harden, because listen, James Harden want to go kick it with Lil Baby. James Harden, the all season, James Harden want to go kick it with Lil Baby. He want to be at all the parties. Listen, LeBron is in shape. LeBron is spending $1 million+ on his body. He's still working out. He doing cold plunge. He doing sauna treatments. He doing all these treatments and investing into himself so that he can still compete on a high competitive level at this age. You get out of it what you put into it. So if you don't understand it from a business perspective, maybe you watch sports. So let's use that analogy. Knowing what you know based off what I've said, hit the like button. I've told you what's about to come in the next 3 to 5 years. We're going to see how many people prepare for it. If you complaining now, you're really going to be complaining then. Make better choices and decisions.